Greetings to all Rotarians in RIBI. I'm going to tell you about changes in the structure that the General Council of RIBI agreed to propose at its meeting at the end of November. If these changes are adopted, they will bring about the biggest change in the governance of RIBI since it was formed almost 90 years ago. So why are we talking about change? First, there has been a growing acceptance that we have to change to meet the challenges of declining membership. It will be the commitment and vision of Rotarians that will change the perception of Rotary out there, but we need an organisation that supports them. Second, we have a complex organisation, and to many it seems unnecessarily complex. Few club members, or even club presidents, have much understanding of how RIBI works. As a result, many think it is a waste of time and money. And many Rotarians think that we have created jobs for their own sake that add no value to your club. Thirdly, there is too much that has to be decided by the governing body and too little delegation to staff and committees. The result is that the General Council and the Executive get bogged down in detail, and we do not make the most of the skills and commitment of our staff or expert Rotarian volunteers. The General Council's proposals follow an extended proposal of consultation and discussion. The Quennial Review Committee carried out a survey covering over 10% of Rotarians in RIBI. It covered 6 focus groups to develop recommendations for change, and a 2020 vision group was set up 2 years ago to look at what Rotary should look like in 2020. The theme running through all their deliberations was that we need to change the structure of the organisation from the top. The General Council's proposals build on the recommendations of these groups. So, what needs to be changed? The structure of an organisation and whether it is fit for purpose can usefully be looked at by assessing it against 3 characteristics. RIBI activity is largely focused on drawing up and conformance to rules rather than on setting objectives and performance in achieving these objectives. It is essentially a representative organisation rather than an organisation which is run by a tightly organised professional team. It is a hierarchical structure that does not define roles and responsibilities and delegations in a way that draws together the expertise available into effective teams. So what sort of organisation do we want to become? Firstly, one that is performance-oriented. We need a clear sense of where we are going and a management that is driving us to our next destination. Secondly, we need a tightly drawn management organisation, but it must still be accountable to the representatives of its membership. We need balance within this scale. Thirdly, we need an organisation in which all our people, whether elected representatives, staff or experts from our membership, understand their roles and responsibilities and are able to deploy their skills and creativity to the benefit of the whole organisation. It is proposed to put RI's strategy at the core of RIBI's activities. This will include setting measurable performance objectives for RIBI, but the strategy must also conform to Rotary's core values of friendship and high ethical standards. The structure will be simplified. From the early years of Rotary, RIBI and RI have been separate associations. Under the constitutions of RI and RIBI, clubs are in effect chartered within both associations, and DGs owe their authority to both RI and RIBI. Clubs are controlled by, in effect, 4 bodies: RIBI, RI, district councils and DGs. This has stood the test of time over many years of organic growth in clubs in RIBI, but we have new challenges. Rotary is no longer growing organically. To put Rotary back on the road to growth, we have to focus on what we do and how we are perceived by the public. This needs a more professional way of working. To achieve this, a historic change in the basic function of RIBI is proposed. It is proposed that the line of authority leading from the RI board through DGs to clubs should be recognised as the central relationship between clubs and the wider association. RIBI would become essentially a service organisation that helps DGs do their job and helps clubs to achieve more than they can as individual units. Whilst this is a fundamental change in the historic role of RIBI, it is in fact what most Rotarians probably believe is the role of RIBI in practice. Because RIBI will be focused on delivering services rather than managing clubs, it can replace its representative management structure with a small, dedicated management team. Though, as a membership organisation, this has to be kept in balance. Accountability to our members must remain. We will see later how this balance will be achieved. Finally, the clear separation of the supervision and leadership of clubs by the DGs and the service functions delivered by RIBI will make it possible to transform the delegation of authority within RIBI in a way that will help to release the creativity, skills and experience of both the staff of the Secretariat and expert Rotarians working with committees. Essentially, the existing very specific delegations will be replaced by broad delegations of authority to act within defined remits, but subject to reference back to the board for direction on policies and budgets. So what is proposed in detail? The board will have 14 members, the RIBI officers, the RI Director for Zones 17 and 18A, and 9 general members. Selection will be by a nominations panel based on a required skill set. Nominated members will be subject to confirmation at the annual business meeting. All members will represent all clubs in RIBI, not geographical constituencies. Committee chairs will attend meetings and may also be board members. The qualifications will be the same as for DGs, but members need not have been a DG. Continuity will be achieved through 3-year terms. The President will not be the Chair. The President will be released in that way from administration to focus on external promotion and internal motivation throughout the organisation. Although DGs will no longer form the governing body, their central role will remain. They will set priorities for each year and will be able to hold the board to account for its performance on behalf of the clubs they represent. They will do this through regular meetings between the DGs and members of the board convened as forums. The forum will be chaired by the RIBI President to ensure that there is a direct line of communication between DGs and the board. The annual business meeting will continue to be the basis for the authority of the governing body, and it will have a more substantive role than at present. It will ratify the membership of the management board, it will continue to approve the RIBI budget, and it will also have the opportunity to debate RIBI's strategy and progress in achieving its goals. Its meetings will as a result move away from a sterile debate on changes in the bylaws, though this will continue to be an important function. This is the structure proposed. Yes, it still looks complicated, but as we have seen, it needs to strike a balance between professionalism and accountability. RIBI will be managed as a support organisation by a small, largely selected management board, but accountability will be retained through the annual business meeting and a DG's forum. District councils would remain to help ensure feedback from clubs through DGs to RIBI. This will in fact bring RIBI much closer into line with the management of Rotary elsewhere. But we will keep and improve the services available to DGs and clubs that are the envy of districts and clubs throughout the world. We'll now look more closely at the key elements of this structure. So what will this mean for clubs? RIBI will focus on the services that you tell it are helpful to you in running your clubs. It will be accountable for its performance to you directly at the annual business meeting and indirectly through your DGs. You will be engaged in setting its strategy and developing a vision that offers a future for Rotary in the 21st century. This is only the beginning of a major change. What comes next? This presentation is just part of a communications package that the Secretariat is putting together to explain the changes proposed. And the RIBI Treasurer is already working out a budget for next year that takes into account the proposed streamlining and refocusing of RIBI. A key stage will be the presentation of new bylaws to put into effect the changes proposed. These will be presented to the annual business meeting in April 2012. If approved, the Management Board will swing into action on the 1st of July 2012. Meanwhile, we want to hear what you think of the proposals. And more than this, we want to hear from you what your vision is for Rotary today and how RIBI can best help your clubs. This matters to us because we want the new board to hit the ground running. To do this, it needs to be able to start fashioning a new strategy and program that reflects your views as soon as it has been drawn together as a board. So please watch this space at www.ribi.org for more information and opportunity to comment. Thank you for your interest and your attention in learning about the fundamental changes that are being proposed in the structure of RIBI.